One.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about this reptilian interview story. It's any really interesting. You should check it out. I don't really have that long, like 9 minutes. So, this reptilian part is talking about how in this reptilian interview they said that we was created.
You've mentioned the race of the Illagim who have created our human race. From where did they come and how did they look like? What had exactly happened when they arrived? Are they our god? Answer. The Illagim came from this universe, from the solar system you call Aldebaran in your maps. They were a very tall humanoid species with usually blonde hairs and a very white skin. They avoided the sunlight because it hurt their skin and their eyes. This was absolutely unbelievable for a sun-loving species like us. They seemed to be intelligent and peaceful at the beginning, and we started a more or less friendly communication with them. But later they showed their real intentions and plans. They wanted to evolve the apes to a new breed, and we were a disturbing factor for them on their new zoo planet. At first, they caught around 10,000 or maybe even 20,000 of your simian ancestors, and they left the planet for some 100 years. When they returned, they brought your now more human ancestors back.
Okay, I just want to stop it right there. Because a, a lot of people who talks about evolution and stuff like that, and a lot of people who are against evolution, their main argument is if evolution is real, why do we still have monkeys today? And I usually think like say the same thing, but like just like with slavery, and just like the reptilian interview just said, they caught 20,000 or something like that. So they took a majority and left majority. You know what I'm saying? So it would still be monkeys going through the regular chain of evolution. Then it'd be the ones that they took, the monkeys that they did take and genetically engineer on. And the same thing with slavery. Just like they went over there and took maybe a couple, what I'm saying, hundreds and hundreds of Africans, don't mean that there's no more Africans. You know what I'm saying? It's just logic, you know, logically speaking.
Then they left Earth again for some thousands of years, and the primitive pre-humans lived together with us without major problems. They were just afraid of our aircraft and technology. The Elohim had taught their mind and enhanced their brain and their body structure, and they were now able to use tools and fire. The Elohim returned within 23,000 years 7 times and accelerated the evolution speed of certain of your kind. You must understand that you are not the first human civilization on the planet. The first advanced humans, who lived at the same time with less developed pre-humans, because the Elohim had experimented with different speeds and stages of evolution. With technology and speech existed around 700,000 years ago on this planet. Your scientists have not understand this, because they found only the bones of the pre-humans and some primitive cave drawings showing advanced humans and flying devices. This genetically advanced human breed lived together with us, but they avoided contact with my kind, because the Elohim teachers had warned them with misleading purpose that we are evil beings and that we lie to them. Well, after some centuries, the aliens decided to extinct their first creation, and they accelerated the evolution of a second and better test series, and so on, and so on. The truth is that your modern human civilization is not the first on this planet Earth, but already the seventh. The buildings of the first breeds are lost, but the fifth civilization was the one which built the large triangular constructions you call Egyptian pyramids, today around 75,000 years ago. Your Egyptians just found that large ancient pyramids in the sand and tried not very successful to build similar constructions, and the sixth civilization was the one which built the cities which ruins you can find today beneath the sea in the so-called Bimini area around 16,000 years ago. The last creation of the seventh breed of your series was done just 8,500 years ago, and this is the only creation you can remember and to which your religious writings refer. You rely on archaeological and paleontological artifacts which show you a long and short past. But how should you know anything about the six civilizations before? And if you find evidence for their existence, you deny and misinterpret the facts. This is partly a programming of your mind and partly pure ignorance. I will tell you in the following only about your creations, because the six previous mankinds are lost and therefore they should not concern you. There was a long war between us and the illegitimate.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about. Two things too about this interview. Now, overall, generally speaking, in all reality, if the interview is considered legit or whatever the case may be, or just taking it from where you're taking it from, or just observing the interview, period. As you ever get a chance to listen to the whole, I actually listened to the whole interview a couple of times, but if you ever get a chance to listen to the interview, um, you see a lot of things the when a reptilian has been asked questions, he don't want to go into further details, and I found that really strange. Um, Especially the part when they asked him what do they eat and stuff like that, and he said, "Oh, we eat stuff that might be harmless to people, and we need meat and other stuff that you might find disgusting." He don't want to go into details about. You know what I'm saying? Just like he didn't want to go into details about what happened to the previous races of, you know what I'm saying, the Egyptian and stuff like that. And if you watch the interview more, he he was having a conversation, and he was talking to the reptilian was saying that we have been mentioned back in your Bibles back during like Genesis when they was talking about like like the Bible and all that stuff, and talked about how we used to worship them, the reptilians, and he was saying that a lot of stuff happened back then and he don't want to go into details about. You know what I'm saying? So that can kind of play in the authenticity as far as like the realization of the whole idea too. I just get that food for thought.
And also between certain groups of the Illagim themselves, because many of them were the opinion that the again creation of human species on this planet makes no real sense.
Right. And you just heard that part too. He said the reptilians had a war with the Elohim, who so-called created us, and the Elohim was also fighting amongst each other because some of the Elohims disagreed with the ones who wanted to make the monkeys and genetically engineer them. They disagreed with basically doing that, and I feel like that's good detail too. So some of the LO genes went against each other about basically genetically engineering humans, and I feel like that's a key thing too, because I think it was a story about the Anunnakis, and the story about the Anunnakis talk about the Great Sumerians talk about we being engineered as a slave race, and they was talking about our selected breeding, like when we was engineered as a slave race, when we was kept apart from each other, and we didn't breed with each other, intertwine with each other until they allowed us to. So everything was basically controlled. We was basically like animals, how like you do selective breeding when you got a cattle, at a farm and stuff like that. That's basically how they so called kept us. But just like the book about it was another in this story that I heard, it was one of the like the Elohims, whatever they own kind, that snuck into the garden and told them the truth. See, this was another story I heard before. Snuck into the garden and told them the truth about themselves, and that they had the power to do whatever they want, and that's what divided the two into two too. So that's another story that I heard.
The last battles in this war were fought around 5,000 years ago in orbit and surface. The aliens used powerful sonic weapons to destroy our underground cities, but on the other hand, we were able to destroy many of their surface installations and bases in space. The humans of your series were very frightened when they observed our battles and they wrote it down in form of religious myths. Their mind was not able to understand what was really going on. The Elohim, who appeared as gods for the sixth and seventh breed, told them that it is a war between good and evil and that they are the good.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this one for part two.